So today we're joined by Dave Lang, the Head of Development with the Craft Butchers Association of Ireland. Thanks very much for making the trip down from Dublin to talk to us today, Dave, about all things butchering and meat. And
It's, my family says, how do we stop him talking about butchery and meat?
well, that's it. I'm the same. I come in the evening, have the dinner. I'm watching you on YouTube, picking up tips. But I suppose first question I'd like to ask Dave, because like I know your years butchery, I saw was at a busy time and or as a problem you're solving for us or helping us with something. But how did you get into the trades yourself? I'd love to know.
It was a pure accident, Alan. I got a Saturday job when I was in school in what was then Quinn's supermarket in Finglas.
Yeah.
Became Super Quinn later on. So you're packing bags at the checkouts or you're sweeping the floor. And then one day they asked me to go over to the butcher counter. And they did have a proper butcher shop in the shop then. So apparently I swept the floor better than the previous fella. So they got me.
So that was a great sign. Yeah. If you're good at cleaning, you'll make a good butcher.
Yeah, they got me in every week. So then I'm there and I'm getting in well with the lads. And then one of them said to me, would you like to be a butcher? Now I'm 14, remember, right?
Yeah.
You put a child out at 14 now, you'd be done for child abuse. You know? Anyway, I said, yeah. I said, well, no, you can't serve your time here because this is a supermarket. You won't get the proper training. So I got into Buckley's in Moore Street.
Oh.
And
in the height of it, your Moore Street had been
22 butcher shops in Moore Street.
In the one street.
In the one street. There's only 2 left now.
Unbelievable.
But fabulous training. I mean, seriously, fabulous training. And we did slaughtering 2 days a week. And then we had 3 days in the shop. And like, seriously, the training was unbelievable.
But
I mean, the attention to detail.
And producing like everything, the bacon, pudding, sausages, everything, I suppose.
Well, funny enough, this is going back into the mists of time here, but we didn't even sell chickens.
There weren't.
That was before butcher started selling chickens. That long?
Yeah,
I know. I'm only 27. I just look old.
But that's the way the trade has evolved as well. Like, that's the way it is.
But it was a great training, and then we did the College of Marketing and Design. You get your diploma, and then I went on to do a management diploma after that. And because I left school at 14, I've been doing courses for years and years. And a few years ago, I was out sick for 6 months, and I did about 7 diplomas during the 6 months. Digital marketing, graphic design, photography. So I use all that in my Butcher magazine stuff, which you've seen. Look, it's just a kind of a hobby thing. It's nothing to do with the Craft Butchers Association, but it's helpful.
Yeah, you're able to bring it in and sure.
Well, I'm showing people how to do things like how to, say, break a chicken up at home or how to bone and roll a chicken up. That type of thing,
But like I look at the YouTube channel and the Butcher magazine, but like it's great for people at home because they're simple things. But actually, for me as a butcher, I was saying to you, I was struggling with the rump when you can break your rump down into your picana, and I always but to be able to just take my time in the evening, watch it again, and then even like say just a dry cure corned beef. Different, it's great tips for us, but as approachable for someone if they want to try something at home, which is the main thing.
Yes, well, I tend to take my time and do it slowly so that people can see what I'm doing. Like, you're a butcher, I'm a butcher. We can do things quickly, but for the Joe public, we'll say, you don't do it quickly. You do it slowly so they see what you're doing. And as I always say, these are very sharp knives. So, you don't have to be the speediest guy in the world. Do it carefully, leave your fingers, you want to end up with the same number of fingers as you start.
When you started. But no, it is good because, like, say, even from a point of view of certain chefs, you'd enjoy watching one chef, but you wouldn't be able to replicate what he does. But if you can replicate what to do, you will try it. Like,
well, I suppose it's an educational piece. It's we are butchers. We've been butchers for a long, long time. And look, we're under pressure from supermarkets. Let's call it what it is. So if we can sort of get the knowledge of what's involved in butchering, what it is we do in a butcher shop that you can't get in a supermarket.
Yes.
So, and, look, there's good supermarkets and there's not so good supermarkets. I worked for Fergal Quinn in Super Quinn for 10 or 11 years.
Great man in retail.
Absolute genius in retail. And he had some great ideas. He what he used to say was, you don't work for me, you work for the customer.
Yeah, they're paying the wages.
They're paying the wages, exactly. And it was all about the customer. What did the customer want? What did the customer like? And more importantly, what did the customer not like?
Yes.
And he would ask people to fill in these questionnaires, and he would have these focus groups where they would talk about what they liked about the shop, what they didn't like about the shop. So you might get as head butcher, I might get a complaint about something or other, and I need to deal with it fairly quickly because you didn't want it coming up at the next consumer panel meeting.
Yes.
So it was all focused on the customer. But the great thing was they had this thing called goofs. So let's say I wasn't wearing a hat, or I wasn't wearing my name badge or whatever. That's called a goof. So the customer goes to the service desk and mentions this, and they get points onto their loyalty card. So Fergal had 25,000 unpaid quality control people coming through the shop every week.
It was the customer, like it wasn't a manager going in, it was the customers was surveying you.
Yeah. And if you don't listen to the customers, you go out of business.
Yeah, they'll move. They'll talk with their feet. Yeah.
And Fergal wrote a book called Crowning the Customer. So the customer is king or queen, and give them what they want.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Like, for example, 40 years ago, Fergal removed all the chocolates and sweets from the checkouts because the mothers were being tortured.
With the kids.
Yes. And then a year or two ago, I saw Tesco have done this 35 years later. And he done it 40 years ago.
Yes.
So, look, it's keeping the customer happy. He did say, he says, I'm actually losing money because I'm not selling the sweets and chocolates that I would have done before. But he says the customers are delighted because they're not tortured. Because you're on the queue with a couple of kids. Yeah. Chocolate bars, Rolos, whatever it is.
And then the dinner won't be it when you get home, and it's in the bin. And yeah.
So I have to say, customer-wise, dealing with customers, I learned a huge amount from Fergal. So this is what we try to do in the Craft Butchers Association: is help our members keep their customers happy, give them. And we also try to get our guys to talk about what it is that makes us different. Like,
yes,
you can go to your Aldi or your Lidl or one of the supermarkets, but you can't ask for a steak twice as thick.
Yes.
Or you can't ask for a roast that size. It's all standard sizes.
Yes.
And not every family is standard.
Exactly. Yeah.
Plus, butchers, craft butchers, a lot of them have their own abattoirs. You have your own abattoir. And you probably have your own cattle on your own land.
Well, I don't. I'm not that far along yet.
Some of them do, but
yeah,
I'm a great believer. Like, this is what there's a term for this. It won't come back to me, but I'll think of it in a second. But you've got the animals, the source. You bring them in, you slaughter them, you butcher them, you sell them. You vertically integrated, I think, is the term they use in big business, and you can't get better. I mean, you have an artisan breaking up this animal, and that he's reared from birth.
Yes.
And he's looked after it. And this is fabulous product. You won't get that in any supermarket.
No, and like one thing as well that I say, butchers that don't have their own abattoir, what people wouldn't realise, they're coming to say, they're coming to me or someone local like him, and they're picking out what they want. Yeah. It's not as if they're just opening the lid off a box.
No.
Do you know what I mean? They're going in, they're looking at the stuff, they'll put a skewer in it or mark it off. It's produced for them, you know.
And if the customer wants something a little bit unusual, like, for example, just something I was talking about on that blog post, caul fat.
Yes.
You know, but you can go to a butcher. You can't go to Aldi or Lidl for caul fat.
No, because it's exported out of the country by the ton,
So you're look, we're artisans. We're crafts people. We study for 4 years, I think we do, to do what it is we do. And some people think it's just you're putting a knife through a line.
Oh, anyone can do it. Yeah.
Well, okay. Away you go. Try it.
Yeah,
see how
exactly.
you get on. So there's a lot to it. You need to understand the whole animal. You need to understand the musculature. You need to understand which muscle is which. Why do you not boil fillets?
Yes.
Why do you not fry shins?
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of reasons for that. You need to understand that. And you need to be able to say to your customer, this will be lovely on a slow cook, about 3.5, 4 hours. I'm talking about shin of beef, for example.
To get the best out of it.
And I'm a believer in every cut of meat can be a magnificent meal if it's cooked appropriately.
Yes.
So your butcher, your supermarket can't tell you this, but your butcher will say, do you know what the best thing to do with that now? 3.5 hours, make a nice stock and simmer it for 3.5 hours, and it'll fall apart. It'll be that tender.
Yes.
You won't get that in the supermarkets.
And then whether it's a fillet or a shin beef, nutritionally, they all have the same value.
Pretty much,
what I mean? So,
pretty much.
Yeah, once you know how to handle it, and as you say, the butcher can advise on that.
I'm not a fan of fillets myself because...
Wouldn't touch them either. No, wouldn't touch them.
The fillet is a muscle that doesn't actually do any work. it supports the backbone of the animal. The shin, obviously moving, and the neck particularly,
Yes.
because the head is up and down feeding all day. But if you cook that properly,
It's the flavour blow your
but the
mind.
flavour is, you see, there's not a whole lot of flavour in fillet, as you know.
No, to me it reminds me of liver kind of when I eat it. You know that kind of gamey taste, and there's nothing there really. Like,
I prefer rump.
yeah,
I have to say that's because there's a little bite in it, you know.
yes, there's a bit of a chew, but it's the flavoursome, and it's not chewing as in tough chewing.
Oh,
like,
no,
you know
no,
what I mean?
no.
But
There's just a little
it's
bit
nice
of,
to eat a steak like as well.
a little bit of bite. You mentioned earlier on that you saw the me breaking the rump down into the four muscles on the video, and I do that for just so people know where this comes from.
Yeah, and but for us in the shop, it's great to offer because you cut a slice of rump and it's maybe too big for people. You cut it in half, it's not great. Then you're able to put out, like an option that looks like a fillet steak.
Yes.
It's tender. You have your pecan, the bistro out of it is beautiful.
Oh, fabulous!
And then they can all be €2 and €3 and €4. Like as you're actually. You're giving better value to the customer as well.
And you're getting more out of that rump than you did. Because when you cut it with the four muscles, they're all different. The grain goes in different directions.
Different as well.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
So you're not doing the steak justice by selling it as a four muscle steak. Best to break it down into the individual muscles. Then they're getting the proper attention and they're cooked as they should be.
Yes. I'm going back to what you were saying about the trade. I don't know if this will go out, but I was only saying it to Adam this morning. Like, my chap, he's with me, he's learning the trade. But any of the lads that'd be with me, you'd bring him out when you put out the counter in the morning. It looks fantastic. Say, come out and see what you've done, and they'd come out and say, look how well that looks, and they're kind of looking and say, but look realistically, and people don't like talking about it. They're dead animals. This probably won't go out. But like, I said to him, if you got a dead sheep, 5 dead chickens and a dead pig and just throw it there, people they'd vomit. Like, it's just, it's repulsive. But by you knowing your trade, you know how to refrigerate it, you know how to cut it, you know how to put it out. People walk into the shop and you'd hear it the whole, I'd nearly eat that the way it is. Oh my God, that looks lovely. But that's how much of a trade it is, like, and people, I suppose butchers, we don't promote ourselves enough for that either.
We call that food porn.
Yeah, hashtag.
We were in a shop in Mayo and we walked in to talk to the guy, and I said to Liam, look at that, there was a beautiful loin of beef. It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. I said, Liam, that's food porn. I have to get pictures of this. Now, I know I get carried away. I've been doing this a long time and I love what I do, but like, it really is. It's very satisfying to see really good quality meat being sold in a proper butcher shop.
Yes.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah. We do the beef stir fry now, and be one of my favourite things in the shop. We put a dry glaze on the beef first, and then we mix the veg, then we put a sauce over it, but it looks fantastic. I love eating it. And a woman came in, oh, that looks fantastic. Put it in a tray. We serve it in the tray. You can do it in the oven if you want. So she says, can I get a look? It was her meat. She was buying it. I said, there you go. Can I smell it? I says, yeah, walk away. Oh, that's lovely. Next minute she puts the finger in and licks this. I says, oh, Jesus, missus, that's raw. Like, and she goes, oh, it looks so nice. I thought I could just eat it out of the tub. Yeah.
Well, it's look, the customer's always right. That's an old saying, and it's not quite true because they're not always 100% right. But generally speaking, if you don't look after your customers, you lose your customer.
You're gone.
You've got to look after them. And you listen to the customer. Find out what it is they want. As I said, going back to Fergal Quinn, Fergal asked them what do they want, and they mentioned various things they want. And the next thing you know, he's got this product for them.
Yes.
So he was very successful. He was a great retailer. He was a genius. But he's written a couple of books. One was Crowning the Customer, as I mentioned. The other one was called Mind Your Own Business, which you can read 2 different ways. In other words, mind your own business, look after the business that you have.
Yes.
And the other bit is, don't be worrying about what everybody else is doing. Do what you do. Do it really, really well. Tell people about it. Advertise it. And we were just talking before the interview started about the digital space.
Yes.
We need to be in the digital space. So Craft Butchers have just updated their website. We now have a podcast. We now have a YouTube channel. And we've a lot of stuff there for customers to see. Some of the videos actually are my videos, which I've just rebranded with the Craft Butcher brand on them.
Yes, yes.
But like, we're trying to get people to understand what it is we do, and there's a lot to it. So you take, for example, a cow. How many muscles are there in a cow?
Yeah.
And what do they do? And what do they do when it's alive? And what way is the best way to cook them afterwards? We need to know all that. We need to be able to recommend them to our customer.
Yes.
You know, so now I mentioned to you earlier on, we're in a competition in March of next year in Paris.
Right. Yes.
The World Butcher Challenge, and
there's a lot of work going into that, Dave. It's every Sunday, is it?
No, every second Sunday.
Every second
my
Sunday.
wife wouldn't let me out every Sunday.
the grass would be in bits.
No. Every second Sunday. But we're doing it in Jim Murphy's shop in Tullow. And Jim has very kindly let us use the shop.
Great, and I tell you, he's a great help in the trade.
Something else.
He's so open.
He's so givish with information.
No problem with him. We went up recently. One of the marinade suppliers, he opened up the shop, told us wherever you wanted, and even afterwards, because I'd be local, I was one of the last lads to leave. I'm only probably 20 kilometres away from him, and he said we need to help each other. Sure. Whatever you want to know, we're against the supermarkets, if not us.
Yeah.
And brought me the whole place inside out, completely open, and it's a great help. And then recently I was asked to do a demo for the Rockin' Food and Fruit Fest, and I was on to Jim because he does a lot of that for a bit of advice, and couldn't help anymore.
Oh, Jim is brilliant. And it's great to see him sharing that information.
Yes,
like he invites butchers from all over the country, saying, "Come and see what it is I do." He did a video. He did a demonstration, and I think it's about an hour and a half long, and I recorded it and I put it up on the members' WhatsApp.
Yes.
And we're doing videos every couple of weeks.
They're great to get the shorter version of each product, and from Jim Murphy. But it's great, and what he said there that day as well, like to me, just if you want anyone out of the shop to come up, send them up of a Monday. I'll show them the stuff, and it's great to have that, because it used to happen a lot years ago. The shops would swap around lads that would be training to learn, and then it kind of went.
Well, you need to move around. For example, I was having a conversation a couple of days ago with, I won't mention the name, obviously, a butcher whose son is coming up, and I says, get him out of your shop and send him to somebody who's going to kick him up and down the block and give him a hard training.
Yes.
He says, why? I says, well, he's going to pick up all your bad habits. He's going to develop a few of his own.
Yeah. And
he probably pick a couple other people's bad habits. So if you get him to work for a hard taskmaster, he'll be the best butcher he can possibly be.
Yeah.
And he actually thought about it, and he said, I'm going to do that. He said, who can I send him to?
Yeah. a drill sergeant. Yeah, put manners on him.
Well, I had, as I said, I trained with Buckley's, and I won't say it was hard training. It was very, very good, and you didn't mess about.
You didn't get away with anything.
No, you did not get away with anything. And, you had to do it properly, and that was the way it was. And FX Buckley was started in 1930, I think. They're still there. They have a range. They have a bunch of restaurants now. FX
the steakhouses. Yeah.
And look, they're still there, and they're doing something right, obviously.
Yeah. Sure, they're kind of a household name, even because even from you wouldn't have to live in Dublin. Everyone, when you went up to Dublin, like traditionally to shop before all the shopping centres, Moore Street, FX Buckley's,
And he the big sign, the FX Buckley par excellence. He'd been in Paris and he saw this and he decided, I'm having that. And he was probably forced to come up with this kind of.
Yeah, I was actually read into that because I always wondered where did this come out, and it was on his honeymoon. I think he went.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, and because when I seen the Francis Xavier Buckley, I was saying maybe was he French or something?
No,
it was just. I'm sure Francis Xavier's the school, big thing up in Dublin.
Irish mothers were very religious in those days, so you always got saints' names.
Like my friend, I was born in the 80s, so they're all. I've a load of John Pauls.
well, we've a member, and his name is Karol, Karol, which is Pope John Paul's real name.
Oh yes, his Polish name.
Karol Wojtyla is his name. Yeah. So there's a lot of these Karol.
Okay. Yeah. That's where Carol came. Oh yeah. When you think
although we pronounce it Carol.
Yeah.
Carol sounds a bit girly.
Yeah.
But no, look, it's a great trade, and we are partnered with the MSL ETB, the Mayo Sligo Leitrim Educational Training Board, and they have something like 92 apprentices going through the
at the
system
moment
in 3 centres, one in Sligo, one in Cork and one in Dublin. And they're looking for, if anybody wants to send their kids to be an apprentice butcher, they're taking in new intakes in September and August and September this year. msletb.ie is the place to go. You get your training, practical hands-on training, and we're involved in that as well. We're on the steering committee of the apprentice board, and we obviously we want to encourage people to come into the trade. Now, is it a sexy trade? I don't know whether it is. It's up to us to make it a sexy trade.
Yeah.
It's up to us to. I'm not trying to inflate what it is we do, but like we are artisans, we are craftspeople. So my father used to say, if you sweep the streets like Michelangelo painted ceilings. Be the very best you can be.
Yeah.
And I've always tried to do that. So I'm trying to be the best butcher I can be. I'm trying to be the best at the development I can be for the Craft Butchers Association. And whatever it is you try to do, always try to do it the best. Don't just do it because it's a job.
Yes.
Because you won't get any satisfaction.
Yourself.
Well, we were talking earlier this morning, you were talking about the lad on the line, and all he was doing was taking the elastic bands off.
3,000 elastic bands.
No, you'd lose your mind, wouldn't you?
Yeah, where's the satisfaction coming out in the evening, you know?
Well, you mentioned also, and this was a sort of a source of pride with us, so Friday and Saturday were your busy days. So you got your counter ready. You'd have it ready by 9 o'clock, and you'd have your rows of roasts and your everything out and labelled and priced. And you'd stand out and you go, I did that. I did that, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important. And not coming back to Fergal again, he would say to you, come out, Dave, and have a look at this. And he'd see something in your counter that he wasn't happy with. But he wouldn't point it out to you. He'd make you point it out to him.
Get you to find it.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, no, we probably knew.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But we
sorted
busy.
later on.
We're busy.
I get my cup of tea and fix it. Yeah.
So Fergal gets you actually to say it to him, and they say, "Well, why is that, Dave?" And he's, without being authoritarian,
yes,
he put you through the hoop. So you had to explain why this mistake was, or this little error, or whatever it was. You had to explain, and then you had to justify it.
Yes.
So we need to take pride in what it is we do. We're after the best display we can possibly get, the best quality meat, and this is something I've always banged on about: quality. There's no point in buying cheap meat.
No.
No. Quality meat, and quality meat is not that much more expensive than cheap meat.
No, very little in it, Dave. Very little.
And in fact, you'll find that if you compare the prices per kilo between butcher shops and supermarkets, there is practically no difference.
Sure. When you start tracking that, the butcher will be way cheaper on certain products when you look at the little shelf talkers, and people don't relate to that. It's just as $2.99 or it's $3.99, but if you went to the butcher, you could get 30% more for your $2.99.
Plus, you look at the provenance of what you get in the butcher shop. He knows that this animal has only travelled 10 miles in its life.
Yes.
Where what you get in the supermarket could have travelled 700 miles. So there's the carbon footprint, there's the stress to the animals, and as you know, a stressed animal,
it's not good to a butcher.
Doesn't eat well.
Butcher don't want a stressed animal.
So there's a whole lot of factors to this, and I just think we as butchers, we're probably not doing this as well as, and not getting this point across as well as we could.
Yes.
We need to talk. We need to big it up.
Yeah.
We need to brag.
Yeah.
We're really good at this, know.
Well, it's true. It is. There's so much work goes on around the country in butchers, what it takes to put it into their counter, and we don't talk about it enough.
You've been to our competitions, and you got a couple of golds, I think, in the barbecue,
and then the pudding. I cut that day, the two
yes,
in the one day.
That's right. You did.
Yeah.
So you can see the passion and the pride there is among those guys, and they came from all over the country.
The last one, they were the barbecue, like Joe McGee down from Donegal morning.
That's right.
The Eddie Walsh the son down from Donegal.
They left home at before 6 o'clock in the morning to come down to Kildare.
And they're there every year.
That's right.
It's not just a once off. And then that man there, there was people from Cork came up, and
that's right. There was a man came from Skibbereen.
Yeah, and they could have been retired. You'd be taking a handy on a Sunday, and still they were there.
It shows you the passion, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And by the way, the products, and the judges told me that the product every year it gets better. The standard, because let's say you enter the competition and you maybe get a silver. You want
Yes.
to know why I only got a silver. So we get the judges' reports and we say, well, it was a bit salty or it wasn't salty enough or whatever it happens to be. And then you improve on your product and you try it again next year.
Yeah.
But now Joe seems to have the burgers sewn up.
Two. That's why I said to him, I'll see you next year for the triple. He got 2 in a row. I was delighted for him because
He's great.
I ended a good many years ago. We went on a trip to Germany to that big IFA, is it the big show that have all the
Yes,
machinery
yes.
and all that kind of thing. And I'm first time I met Joe, and like he had to show me this burger machine.
Yeah.
And he talked about the burger and I said, Jesus, fair, because like this is going back maybe 8 years ago, and he always believed in the hand pressing because you're not overworking the meat.
And you're not over mixing it.
No, and then he needed to make more, but he got one, and it basically punched out a little ball like you would, but it went through a roller instead of, being formed. And he was saying the difference in the texture. So he is.
Oh, he's put a lot of work,
and it shows it 2 years in a row. Like,
well, 2 years in a row, he got the supreme champion. Yeah, look, you see, this is the science and the art. You know, I always think butchering is a combination of art and science.
Yes.
So there's the science of the different muscles and how they will cook and, you know, the flavour and all that sort of thing. But the art is putting it all together and, you know, getting it across to the customer. And as a butcher, you know, you as you can probably spot, the two of us could talk here all day.
Yeah.
Butchers are like that. They love talking to customers and they love when customers ask questions. How would I cook this? And then the butcher will go off on a 10-minute explanation.
And the
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about that is, and now it's 20 years since I actually worked in a butcher shop, but I remember a customer would ask you a question and you might have 5 or 6 people waiting, but you'd take the time to explain this to this customer, and the other 4 or 5 customers didn't mind because they knew.
No, and they're listening as well, going,
exactly.
I wanted to ask that, but I didn't.
Plus they knew that you were going to spend whatever time was required with them.
Yes.
So this rushing customers along and getting them out the door, I don't actually agree with that. Spend the time, and if it's getting really, you know, you're going on a long time, call someone else to serve the next.
Exactly.
Time. But you need to give the customers your time and attention because they're putting money in your till, they're paying you wages.
Yeah.
They
Keeping
deserve that respect.
Yeah. Because without the customers, you're gone, and then you
Forget
end up in a job that you don't want to be doing. Because every butcher, you stay in it because you love the trade. You know, as you say, you talk about it all day. I'm looking at the Butcher magazine when I go home in the evening.
Well,
you know,
I've been in it that long that there's been 3 different currencies:
pound, shilling, and pence, pounds and euros. Just on the Craft Butchers Association, Dave, like, say we'd put it on. We have it on our uniform. We just got lovely stickers developed for us, and it's great to have it on. We have our plaque for the shop, and customers see that, and all of a sudden you're different.
Yes.
They actually ask me, "What is the Craft Butchers?" They know you're not just opening a shop, and I'd explain to them, like, they wouldn't know about the background of it, but that, like, you're encouraged to keep your standards up. You're getting educated. You compete in competitions. You know, you learn off lads. It brings your standard up in the shop. But say maybe for butchers out there that wouldn't be a member, or that they don't say with the back what the apart from what the customer sees, to let them know what you offer the butcher.
Well, we're an advice line. We're a resource. We're there and we deal with phone calls all day, every day. Depends on what it might be. An EHO might be in the shop, and the guy's feeling a little bit intimidated, and we'll sort of reassure them that, you know, you've nothing to worry about. All your documentation is in place. Recently, a year and a bit ago, I was asked to join the consultative council with the Food Safety Authority, which I take as a big honour for ACBI. And I'm also a member of the Artisan Forum with the Food Safety Authority. And then the Food Safety Authority brought out this manual for small to medium boning halls.
Yeah, which I done the course myself.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, I was involved in writing that manual. And this is the first time they've ever asked a butcher, which to me is major progression, because this was written by people who probably never handled meat in their lives. So it was great to have a butcher's input in.
Yes.
Jack Malloy, our president, he's on the Meat and Livestock Board with Board Bia. And we have a very active WhatsApp group where people ask questions. And as you mentioned, Jim Murphy is great with information. People ask questions. People do buy and sell. They're trying to sell equipment or buy equipment. We deal with obviously with the Food Safety Authority and with compliance with hygiene regulations, but we do a lot of other things as well. We can help you with pricing, and we've got all sorts of, for example, we've done costings on sides of beef, sides of lamb, sides of pork, and we've got all the breakdown and the yields for those, and then we'll help. And one thing we really push our members to do is to do a profit and loss regularly. So take stock. If it's not once a week or once a month, it should be once a quarter. So,
at a minimum. Yeah.
But if you're not making money, you don't want to find out after 11 and a half months that you're not making
And then
money.
you're closing the door on the shop.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's not what we want. We want to keep butcher shops open. I think there's a future, but we need to wake up to the fact that we have to be different. We have to sell ourselves as different. So that's what we do. You were at the barbecue and burger competition there in Kildare, and you were at the expo in January.
That was a huge day out. That was fantastic.
That was fabulous.
Yeah.
Now, but that took like from July to January to organise
it.
But it was well worth it. And there was 50 trade stands. There was six.
She has had the apprentice competition. There was butchers from Wales and
England, Ireland, Scotland, and Northern Ireland.
And there was the apprentice one, and then there was the senior, as we call it in hurling or whatever.
And then we had the sausage and pudding competition. Look, it was just, it was amazing. And I suppose what we wanted to do was we wanted to raise the credibility of our association. This is what we do. This is what we can do. We're there for butchers. We're there as a resource. If you're in trouble with whatever it is, call us.
Yes.
Now, we don't know everything. Like, let's get that straight. But you know what? We know where to find out. If we don't know the answer there and then, we'll find out within an hour for you.
Yes.
And we have contacts in the Food Safety Authority and Board BIA, etc. And we
plenty of advice and help there.
Well, we're well respected by these people now because there's you'll see it every month. There's a report from the Food Safety Authority about food businesses that were
had to be closed or whatever. For a period of time.
You don't see butchers in that anymore because we've made it our business to make our members compliant.
Yes.
So there'll be all sorts of restaurants and cafes and sandwich bars in there for various reasons, but you don't see
You'll
butchers.
never see a butcher.
Because we take this seriously. And customers don't want, customers doesn't want to read it. Oh, Dave Lang's butcher shop was closed last week because it was manky.
Yeah.
You don't want to read that in the paper.
And then the difference with a butcher, I suppose, like we'd always be looking from it. If you're doing a sandwich or a takeaway, it's going to be consumed more or less immediately.
Yes.
But we're thinking, Miss Murphy comes into there, whoever comes into me, she buys a pound of sausages. I need to make sure that if she doesn't use them for 5 days, so I'm worrying about 5 days away, not just the next 90 minutes. That's right. And that's why we have to have the standards too, Dave, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, I know this is very basic, but like sick and dying customers are of no value to us.
No. No.
No, we need to. We need to keep our standards up. We need to talk about our quality. And I again, to any butcher who's listening to this, you need to buy the best you can buy.
Yeah.
Don't get bogged down in a price war with supermarkets because you won't win.
Yeah.
You're wasting your time. It has to be on the quality of the product you sell, the quality of the staff you have, the quality of the premises that you're in, and it needs to be welcoming.
Yes.
I've been in shops, I won't mention any names, but like some of them look like shower stalls.
Yeah.
Like pure white tiles. Now, that was great 40 years ago.
Yes.
Not so much now.
Yes.
It needs to be warm, it needs to be welcoming, and you need to be a foodie. And if you're not, find out about other types of food. Talk to your customers about food. And it works.
Yeah.
The last butcher shop I worked in, my wife would say to me, Jamie Oliver was on last night and he did whatever it was. Lamb.
Yeah.
So I go to the website, download the recipe, print a dozen of them, and when the customers come in and say, "Did you see Jamie Oliver last night? This is fabulous. Try that." And
little things like that.
Yeah, you're getting them interested in the food, and then
it's food that they can only request from. It could be a shoulder of lamb, or it could be
you won't get a shoulder of lamb in the supermarkets, will you?
No. We could have it in the shop, but at the moment we need 24-hour security. Lamb has gone that expensive. But please God, it will come back a touch. I know everyone have to make a living, but lamb is
crazy.
Priced out of the market at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, I love. I didn't taste lamb till I was married. By the way,
yeah.
My mother wouldn't have it in the house. And I was married before I tasted lamb, but I love it. I just adore it. I think
Yeah,
it's
it's a
fabulous.
kind of one of them. It's an acquired, isn't it? People really love it, or
And
they don't
it's
go
like
near it at all.
Bovril. You like it or you don't.
Yeah, yeah. And just Dave, with the new, when you're here, I'd like to ask you myself, the new website that just launched for the Craft Butchers Association. So there's a public section, and then there's a private section for the butchers, which is a great help to us, but it's good for the public to promote the butcher.
Well, the customer can go and find out what it is we do. Our podcast is there, our videos are there. And then for the members, we have all the resources. So all the forms that you'll need, your mince log and your temperature checks and so on, that's all available to members where you log in. And if you're a member of ACBI, you would have got an email from Brendan to tell you how to log in.
Yeah.
If you haven't got that, contact us and we'll sort that out for you. But it's a great resource for the members. Look, we want butcher shops to be successful.
Yes.
It's simple as that. And a number of them, as you know, have closed down over the years for various reasons. Not all of them economic. A lot of it is to do with succession.
Yes.
Butchers, their sons or daughters don't want to be butchers maybe. So there's no one to give the shop to. So it ends up as a nail bar or something like that.
Tan and salon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, we need to sort of we need to brag. As I said, we need to brag about what it is we do. We're really good at what we do.
Yes.
It's taken us years to get to this stage. We're really good at what we do. So come in and give the butcher a try.
Yeah.
See what you can get.
Definitely talk to the butcher. Yeah.
Ask the questions, because butchers love questions. How will I cook this? And the butcher will go off on a 10-minute rant.
Yeah. Well, you do, because, or say, what part does that come from? Or I'm looking for this, because, like, as I say, the customers don't see what goes on in the background, and we're better now at doing that. Like, we try to make the sausages in front of the customers, try to do everything, but basically they're coming in and they just see you there serving, do you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's grand. You're picking up a bit of meat, putting it in a bag. But when you're asked a question, you're excited because you're able to show your trade.
That's right.
That Jesus, he's not just putting a sticker on a packet for me. Like he actually knows what he's doing. You know.
Butcher opened. Sorry, he didn't open. He's been there for years, but he revamped the shop, and he has a block that's actually facing the customers.
Yes.
So the customer is standing one side, he's standing the other, and he's cutting his T-bone, and the customer is right beside it.
I had a wall, and you're trying to keep it, not that, but you think, leave it at the back. About a year ago, we moved the blocks to the front, right behind the counter, and the difference it's making is unbelievable.
So you're showing your art.
Yes.
You're showing your craft.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do. Quality, and then show off what it is you do.
Yeah. It's like, it was said to me years and years ago, and it was actually, he was a wholesaler of beef, but small, producing his own cattle, selling to butchers. You could pick out what you wanted, and he'd be always a little bit pricier, but maybe 30 or 40 pence.
Yeah.
But lads stuck with him. You had the quality, and what you got this week was the same as what you got last week. And he's, I was saying, you're lit, like I was actually doing a bit of work up there, I was boning the beef, and I said, you're a little bit kind of dear, and everyone, how do you think? He said, well, I'm hand picking. He was doing his few cattle, but he says, the way I look at it, no one ever comes back to you the next day and said, my dinner was terrible last night, but it was cheap. Thanks very much. You know what I mean? And it's true. And look, as you said, there's not that much difference in the price of quality compared to just say standard. Like.
Well, you're right. If you go to a restaurant, you're not going to be looking for the cheapest restaurant, or if you are, you really shouldn't.
Yes.
We're going out for a meal, and it's going to cost X, Y, or Z, or whatever it is, and you're going to pay, and it's going to be pricey because there's lots of people in that restaurant have to be paid. So it's about the quality of the product. Most people, I think, are prepared to pay for quality.
Yeah.
Now I understand there's people that have a limited budget,
but still you can like say in the shop, like you could cut a bit of steak, a couple of steaks, and could be 20 quid or whatever, or a bit, and someone will go, oh geez, but it's different if it's two people or you're feeding a family. But for that same €20, you can get like probably 4 dinners for 4 people.
Yes.
It's all, and that's the butcher there to advise that as well.
And then every so often as a treat for yourself.
Yeah.
Like you may have a limited budget and you need to buy as cheap as you possibly can, but every so often you need to splash out.
Yeah.
Because it's very boring if you don't.
And one more thing, Dave, and I'll let you go. The World Championships next year, we were touched on it, and then we got drifted away. But I'd like to just ask a bit more about that. So that's a competition out in Paris.
It's in Paris on the 31st of March 2025. There's a team of 6, Jim Murphy and his wife Bernadetta, Mark Williams, Paul Hamilton, Ger O'Callaghan and James Etherson are the team. And
Yes.
they were the team that we had in Sacramento in 2022. I'm the trainer. I'm not on the team. I'm the background guy.
So you're Jose Mourinho, or I don't follow soccer as Tony manager. I could think of,
Don't compare me to a soccer manager. They're getting sacked every week. So you have a side of beef, you have a full lamb, you have a side of pork, and you have 5 chickens. And 6 butchers, 3.5 hours, make as many products as you can out of that.
From bone and from scratch, say, with the side of beef.
From a hanging side of beef and a hanging side of lamb and a hanging side of pork. 3.5 hours, get as many products out of that as possible. Paul Hamilton in 2022, he got best breaker and boner in the world.
In Sacramento.
Yes. He was so good. And the other judges, I was a judge as well. One of the judges said to me, "We've never seen anything
like him."
Unreal.
Yeah.
So, we have a great chance. So this is why we're doing every second Sunday.
Ireland won in Belfast, didn't I? Was there that was the previous before
2018.
That's how long ago that is.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
well, because of COVID, we didn't have a competition.
Oh, yes.
So I trained the team in 2018, and I have to say, I was nearly in tears.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It was unbelievable. I was there, and they worked like everyone. It's like the Olympics. Everyone's going at the same time. They're going flat out. You know, they're coming off. They couldn't really do with a rub and a bit of DP or something. You know, but what's produced, the quality of what's produced is unbelievable.
Yes, the tables that after the 3.5 hours are amazing. The artistry, the skill, the ingenuity, everything is fabulous. And Jim, for example, we had a bit of I won't go into this for too great a detail, but we had a problem there in 2022. Our pallet of stuff didn't get to us. It was sent by ship to America.
You have to ship everything you need to where you're going.
Chainmail gloves and aprons, trays, knives.
Oh, you'd forget about that. You think I'm on my holidays.
We didn't get them. We didn't get them. So we had to beg, borrow and steal. And to be fair to various people like McDonald's, they got a box of knives sent from Friedrich Dick in Germany, which arrived the night before the competition in Sacramento, and various other teams, which I thought was very sporting, helped us with chainmail gloves.
Used to your own equipment, you know what I mean? Like a different knife is
So we didn't win, but we were only 7 points behind the winning team, Germany. And if we'd had our own equipment, I'm convinced we would have won. So that's why we have the same team. I think it was only fair to have to give them a chance again. So 2025, we're going in to win. Yeah, we're going in to win.
I'm sure what people wouldn't realise, you're used to a certain knife, you get a different one. It might look the same, but it's like being handed a new mobile phone. You can't figure it out. Like, it takes a while.
Yeah.
And I suppose just the people wouldn't realise that these lads are giving up every second Sunday for probably a year and a half or 2 years.
Nobody's getting paid for this.
This
is purely voluntary. But now, as I always say, how many times am I going to get to represent my country?
Yep.
I'm not athletic, so I'm not a footballer.
But it's great that you can represent Ireland,
fabulous.
You know.
Yeah.
And sure, like there's New Zealand, Australia, Germany, France. They're from all over, like the whole world.
Spain are in it this year, Netherlands, Belgium, I think Indonesia are in there as well, Canada.
Oh, Canada as
well. Yeah, the Canadians were good.
Yeah.
We were on a team meeting, so they're coming from all over the world to Zoom, and the Belgian team asked, would a team who had been in it before be willing to help us, to mentor us a little bit?
Yes.
So we volunteered, Jim and myself. Yeah. So we've been in contact with
helping the Belgians.
With the Belgians.
Ah, Jesus, that's nice though. It's not hard of it.
Well, we're not giving them any secrets, but we're giving them
tips on what we
learned over the years.
Yeah.
Different things. Like, for example, if you don't use all the meat out of the 4 species, you will be penalised. So for every 5 kilos of meat that you've left over that you haven't made into a product, that's 5 points. Gone.
Oh, yes.
So in 2018, there was only 3 countries finished all the meat, and we were one of them. So that is so important.
0 waste.
Well, I won't mention that. I won't make a show of the country, but one country had about 30 kilos of meat left over. So they might as well get the train or the plane home.
Yeah.
There
So
you
basically, say if they were getting a fillet or bang bang, the centre looks brilliant, and just
well,
throw the other in the
but
tray.
you have to use everything. So you
Yeah.
make sausages and you make grilled sticks and you make all sorts of different products, but you use everything.
Turn everything into something.
And so that's what we do. Now, so next Sunday, Sunday coming, we are doing what we call a full build.
So the whole display, is it?
Yeah. So
That's a big day.
yeah, it is. Now, we're not going to do it in 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
But what we'll do is we look at it and evaluate what we need to change, if we need to change. Then when we finally decide on this is what we're doing, then we've got to get it below 3.5 hours.
To produce.
So there's a lot to it,
Yeah.
you know. And again, Jim, thank you very much, because Jim allows us to use his premises and his products,
As the
and
meat as well.
he's really good, you
Yeah.
know. So it's fabulous. You know, he's a great captain.
Oh, he's on, but he, as I say, he's there anytime you need him. I
Oh,
couldn't believe how
absolutely. Yeah.
open he is,
Yeah.
you know.
It's great to see,
Yeah,
isn't it?
loves the trade, wants to see butchers
Yes,
there
yes.
and do anything to help him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're in the business a long time too.
Oh, it goes back generations,
Yeah,
doesn't it? You
yeah,
can see
yeah.
it in the shop. It's lovely. He has it done out on the
That's
wall.
right,
Like
it's a great story,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
I think it was 1910.
That
that
started.
started, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
He's there a long time.
Yeah.
You know, but he's the way he, you know, he really,
He's
drove it on,
he's
like,
great.
you know.
and he has some brain on him,
yeah,
because when we our trays didn't arrive, we had to borrow trays, which we did. But Jim had it all in his head what we were going to do.
oh, sure, all different trays as
Well,
well.
there's 109
Yeah.
products. I mean, I don't know how he remembered.
Yeah,
There was 109
Yeah.
products. So what we did was, in my hotel room, so there's trays all over the bed, all over the floor, all over the presses and so on, and we just sellotaped the name of the product we were going to put on that, which gave us a bit
yes.
of a, you know, so on the day we put them out on the table, so we didn't have to think about, oh, that's going to be shin, that's going to be mince. So that helped us.
And then you don't make a mistake, have to go
Exactly.
wash the tray and come back. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So, but he's some brain on him, you know.
Ah, please God, no, they'll do it this year,
Please
especially
God.
after what happened in America.
Yeah. Oh, no, we
not
deserve
getting
it.
their
We
equipment,
deserve
like, and then Dave, as part of the ACBI, like, say for a butcher, right, you're an artisan, you're an artist, so maybe you might struggle a little bit on the business side of it. You love what you're doing, you're putting the best of ingredients, you mightn't be charging enough for it.
Oh yeah.
Then you're wondering, you do up the thing, say, Jesus, where's all the, not all the money, but why am I short on this or why am I short on that? But you have a facility, well, the association are there to help with if someone's struggling with margin or...
Yes. We think it's very important. Margin, there's a saying which I can't remember just at the moment, but there's no point in blundering on not making money. You need to know. So we've got breakdown charts on beef, lamb, and pork, which will give you the yield of what you'll get from each of those
Yes.
sides, and then you apply your pricing to it. So at the end of it, then you get a margin. If you think it's not enough, you need to put the prices up.
You tweak it here and
You
there.
tweak it here and there. Now, there's a lot of factors in that. What's the socio-economic area that your business is in? Are you in an affluent area? Will they pay the price? Now, butchers are dreadful for this, by the way. Oh, they won't pay that. They won't pay that.
And you hate putting it up. It's the last thing you want to do.
Yeah.
You know...
But you know what? Yeah. You have to put the price up. You have to get your margin, because you're doing your job. Your staff are doing their job. You've got to pay all that. One of the blog posts I did, it's a podcast,
Yes.
is why is meat expensive? Or is
Yes.
it? Now, you heard it. I break it down into all the different things that the butcher has to pay for. And this is why meat is the price it is. And there's so many different factors. I mentioned the socio-economic areas. I mentioned staff wages. And staff wages can be quite high because recently the minimum wage was increased. And costs. We had a perfect storm last year. Electricity, packaging, beef, lamb, pork, poultry. It
was unbelievable.
Everything went up.
Unbelievable.
You know? So you've got to make your money. I mean, there's no point in being in business losing money.
No.
That's pointless. You have to make your money. And as I always say, sometimes you might be better off doing half the trade and making a profit.
Yes.
rather than being a busy fool.
Yeah.
And this is the advice that we give our members. But we do say you have to take stock. You have to do a profit and loss. Very important. And if you're experiencing difficulties, ring us. And in confidence, I haven't mentioned, the only butcher I mentioned was FX Buckley's, and that was favourable.
Yes.
I don't mention, or I can't.
It's in complete confidence.
Well,
pick up the phone.
One of our strengths is that we can look after members, but we can't talk about it.
Yes.
We can't mention, obviously, I can't say, I was in with Alan and Alan was in a bit of bother and I helped him out. I can't say that because that's your business. So we can't brag about some of the stronger things we do, but we're there for you. We're there to help you. Whatever the problem is, whatever the issue is, you call us and we sort it for you.
And then I suppose, say, for customers listening, when we're on about making money, we're not on about running off to the Caymans. I'm hoping now I'll be going on holiday this year. I haven't been on holiday since 2019, but it's just the way it is.
I know.
When we're on about making money, it's like what you said, why is meat expensive? You have to pay, the wages is a huge chunk of your margin.
Paid. Yeah.
You have to,
you have fridges running constantly.
Yeah, or
because you have to.
24 hours a day. You have labels, packaging. It's endless. You have consumables, everything, and that's what we're talking about. If you don't make the money, well, then you can't pay for your staff, or you can't pay for your. And then obviously every butcher wants a nice shop, and you want to put money back into the shop to give a nice customer experience. So that's why we're talking about making money. You'll get your wage. There's no millionaire butchers going around. You love the trade, but you'll to reinvest in the shop for the customers.
There's also the local aspect of this, and that is for every tenner that's spent in a supermarket, in a big company.
Yes,
call it.
yes.
Don't want to keep picking on the supermarkets.
Yeah.
There's only about 13% of that goes back into the local economy. If you buy from a local business, 52% of that goes back into the local economy.
And that's their figures don't lie.
This is straight figures, yeah. So,
and the 13% is probably their wage percentage. It's probably just what they're paying the staff is going back in.
Well, do you know what? If you had a wage percentage of 13%, you'll be doing very well. It's more like 20 at the moment.
Well, as you say, there's no time spent with the customer. Scan, keep the wage bill down.
And that's a model, and that works. But is that what you want?
Not for a butcher. It's not going to work for a butcher.
No, it's not going to work for a butcher. But look, the as you say, there's no millionaire butchers. We do what we do, and it is a labour of love, and it is a passion. But it needs to be recognised, and we need to brag about it. I keep saying this, but we do need to brag about how good we are at what we do.
Yes, that's where the butcher do fall down. We need to make a bit more noise.
We do. And we tend to be kind of modest creatures, don't we?
Yeah. Until we're talking to another butcher.